Who said quality journalism is dead? I certainly didn't, and this room proves that it isn't. But before we get started, in the interest of full disclosure, I'd like everybody in the room to stand up who has made a contribution to the foundations of the Bush, Clinton, or Paul families. Okay, prosecution rests. I don't need any more witnesses on who's real and who's not. This is the awards dinner for the real people. The people who report, write, edit, photograph, post, and broadcast meaningful stories that affect people's lives. Not one winning story here has much, if anything, to do with celebrities. Now, I'd like to introduce my board, and there are a whole lot of them here in the room, so I'm just going to ask everybody to stand up, particularly since I can't really see them. Will everybody who's on the Silurians board please stand up? Right here is Carol Lawson, our awards chair. Wendy Slick, our dinner chair. They've done a fabulous job. Awesome contest. I think it, too, is a record. Yeah, there's Wendy. Stand up again in the dinner chair. Wave your hands. Thanks for getting everybody straightened out. I also want to thank our judges, many of whom are board members. Now we've got past presidents, Myron Candell, Mort Scheinman, Linda Getz Holmes. If there are any others out here, stand up. My successor, Betsy Ashton, our first vice president, who many of you know from her yeoman work or yo-woman work at the table, along with Karen Richardson, our treasurer, is right here. Stand up, Karen, please. Our finances have never been better, nor have they been more transparent and clear than since Karen has been in charge. Linda Amster, our recording secretary. Linda, where are you? I know you're here somewhere. Linda. Thank you. She's the one who keeps us on the straight and narrow about recording our adventures. Carol Lawson, our awards chair, I mentioned before, has done a fabulous job with this thing. It's the first time we've ever been fully online. And I think we'd love to get comments from you all, but I think it worked pretty well. Was everybody relatively satisfied? I mean, at least you were able to enter and win. So I'd like to thank also Ben Petrusky. Ben, stand up, a board member who's in charge of recruiting new board members. Our judges, Jerry Eskenazi, Ann Royfey, Jack Dacey, Mike Serrell, Barbara Lovenheim, and Bill Deal, who also have now left this into the last century or close to it. We now have a Facebook page, and I hope you'll all join and look at it. We're actually going to put some of the stuff from tonight up there. And Fred Herzog, who has been keeping our website up and running and sends all those email blasts to everybody, thank you. I want everybody to look at this edition of the Silurian News, which you all have. It's just terrific. Bernie Kirsch, where are you? Stand up, the editor. He's always paying top dollar for contributions from our members, and from we'd like to recruit some new members. Mort Scheinman also has some membership applications. We're the only bargain in town if you're able to slip out for lunch. It costs $60 a year to be a member of this club. Your only requirement is that you've been a journo for a while. Now, this issue has some great stories from Ralph Blumenthal, Herb Haddad, Tony Gada, McGee Hickey, and John Martin. And I may have missed some bylines. Anyway, it's really terrific. I hope you all take it home because it also has all the awards in it. Now, for those of you who are not Silurians, you may not realize that we have two purposes. This club was founded in 1924. And I think, actually, I'm going to admit it because we were wrong. For a long time, we thought we were the oldest journalism club, but it turns out the Newswomen's Club of New York is actually a little older than we are. And so we sucked it up and confessed. But anyway, our first purpose, which is why you're here tonight, is to promote excellence in journalism. But the other purpose is more quiet, and that is to help. We have a foundation that helps journalists who are in need. And we do it very quietly. There's no publicity attached. The board doesn't even know which of our members, if any, are being helped. But I do want to thank the Silurians Contingency Fund Board, Larry Friedman, Joy Cook, Nat Brandt, Mark Lieberman, and Martin Stedman. Mort, do you want to stand up one more time and wave some membership applications? Where are you? Here's a guy who does everything. The greatest. Now, we have one more lunch on Thursday, June 18th. Will be the famed food critic Mimi Sheridan, formerly of the New York Times, talking about her latest book, The 1,000 Foods You Have to Eat Before You Die. So I hope everybody will come to that. Okay, now, I would really love to hear some of my old friends in this room who have won awards in spite of knowing me, because there was no fix-in on any of this. But there's some really wonderful reporters in this room, and I wish you could all get up and talk, but we're not, unfortunately, going to let any of you talk, except for the two winners. Otherwise, we'd be here until 3 in the morning. Maybe we should do this in like a two-part session, have the award winners, after award party. But we're not going to do that. So only the winners of the Dennis Duggan and Peter Keese Awards will talk. And at the conclusion of the ceremonies, I'd like all the winners of the Certificate of Merit to come up. Handsomely done by Claire Regan of the Staten Island Advance. Thank you, Claire. Please stand up, wave, everybody. In the unlikely event we misspelled your name, just tell us and we'll get you another one. You're also able to order duplicates for 25 bucks, I think it is. And the Medallion Awards, you can get another one for 100. Now, right now, I would like the first 12 Medallion Award winners. Do you know who you are? That's mostly the print people, to come up here. And we're going to parade up these steps. And Carol will help you up the steps. And then when this line starts to dwindle, the second half of the winners should come up. And then we'll get to it, because otherwise we'll be going for a long, long time. So let me tell you the background here. 24 news organizations won prizes this year in 26 categories. This was the most competitive Silurians contest in recent years. Now, in the first category, print breaking news, the Medallion winner is the New York Times for 2 officers ambushed, with a whole team of Ben Mueller, Al Baker, J. David Goodman, Matt Fliegenheimer, Kim Barker, Ashley Southall, Jeffrey Singer, Nina Bernstein, Alan Blinder, Richard Fawcett, Sandra Garcia, Edna Ishak, I hope I pronounced that right, Thomas Kaplan, Sarah Maslin-Neer, William K. Rashbaum, Kenneth Rosen, Mark Santoria, Nat Schreiber, Moisey Secret, Melody Simons, Vivian Yee, and Jack Begg. Now, believe it or not, we gave this award in part because they started with minimal staffing on Saturday night. And I just read off a lot of names, but they did a great job of scrambling to reconstruct the cold-blooded executions of the 2 police officers in their patrol car in Brooklyn. And then they followed up with a great comprehensive portrait of the killer and explored the tensions between the mayor and the police department. Who's going to come up here from the Times and accept this? Please show everybody your award. Thank you. Here, open it up. Here we go. Show everybody what your award is. This is what they look like. You can bite them just like an Olympic medal. Be careful of your teeth. Thank you very much. Congratulations. The citation is going to go to Newsday's team of 10 reporters for Deadly Blast about the explosion in East Harlem. They, too, did a terrific job. Now, print feature news. The Medallion winner, Baptism by Fire, the New York Times, Ann R., Sonny Kleinfeld. Sonny. Congratulations. Now, let me tell you about Sonny's story. This was a great story about a probationary fireman's first fire and his rescue of a baby boy in a burning apartment. It was a beautifully written and researched epic narrative. Sonny told the story of probationary fireman Jordan Sullivan and his unlikely path to the fire department. It was just a great cultural picture. Merit Award goes to the New York Times, Palm Sunday by Joseph Goldstein, who emailed me. He wanted to be here tonight, but he's stuck in downtown Kabul, Afghanistan. Now, the third category is investigative reporting. The Medallion winner from the Associated Press, Death on Rikers Island, Jake Pearson. Jake, where are you? This was a devastating and chilling 10-part expose that ran from March to December. And it was backed up with exhaustive documentation from internal reports. And the AP revealed a sickening pattern of physical abuse and criminal neglect at the city's largest jail. This beat another great competitor from the New York Times about the same subject. But the Merit Award went to a story that was near and dear to my heart, the New York Times Meddling Governor by Suzanne Craig, Thomas Kaplan, and Willie Rashbaum. I will tell you that this is about how Mr. Cuomo hides the football all the time. All right. Now, category 4. Are you here for the?
You just announced it.
The Merit Award. I'll give you that afterward. We're going to give. Sorry, Suzanne. Okay, and category 4 is sports reporting. The medallion winner, the Daily News, for cooking the books. Terry Thompson, Mary Papenfuss, Christian Reed, and Nathaniel Vinton. And I'm going to allow myself the one profane bad pun of the evening. This was a kick-ass story about a bunch of soccer crooks. It was classically investigated and reported, a good look at the corruption inside the secret, lucrative world of international soccer at the highest level, and how a group of tenacious insiders made millions, often by illegal means. The Merit Award goes to Newsday. Steve Marcus, 5 teams passed on Derek Jeter. Here's what they think about that now. In print, category 5, business and financial reporting. The medallion winner is the Record for the for-profit prescription by Lindy Washburn. Congratulations, Lindy. There we go. Thank you. This 3-part series revealed how the business of healthcare has changed dramatically in New Jersey, enabling some for-profit hospital operators to make fortunes by acquiring faltering nonprofit institutions in what clearly has become a shadowy healthcare business/political environment. 2 Merit Awards here. Bloomberg News for Wall Street finds new subprime with brokers pitching 125% loans. Zeke Foe from Bloomberg, and Vanity Fair, War of the Worlds by Keith Gesson. In number 6, print, science and health reporting. The medallion winner, the New York Times, A Father's Wish, A Daughter's Anguish by Nina Bernstein. For Joan. This is an exhaustively researched, beautifully framed, and eloquently crafted narrative of a daughter's frustrating and ultimately heartbreakingly fruitless quest for end-of-the-life home care for her dying father. By personalizing the story and writing it as poignantly as she did, Bernstein brought into stark relief the manner in which the Nathan's health system, driven by financial incentives and based on finding the maximum government reimbursement, works in favor of hospitals, nursing homes, and other healthcare providers over the needs and wishes of the patients they serve. The Merit Award, Bloomberg News, another great story. Emergency by Appointment at Mount Sinai by David Armstrong, Peter Waldman, and Gary Putka. 7th category, print, arts and cultural reporting, the medallion winner. Bloomberg News. I mean, this doesn't have any relevance, right? How many $1 billion for the guys buying all those apartments, casting shadows over Central Park? No, that's Paul Goldberger's story. This is about the guys buying the stuff to put on the walls. Art flippers chase fresh stars as Murillo's doodles soar by Katya Kazakina. This is a story that exposed the mania of the art market and the bad behavior of the money men who were chasing little-known young artists, buying and stockpiling their works, then hyping them to make quick financial killings. The Merit Award, Vanity Fair, Too Rich, Too Thin, Too Tall by Paul Goldberger. Print journalism, editorial writing and commentary, medallion winner, The Record, Charles Stile. Charles, where are you? His columns were a lot of fun. In a year-long series of riveting columns, they chronicled in keen-eyed detail the political evolution of the embattled governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie. Stile even took a look at Christie's run for student body president in a combative college campaign that hinted at the many career adventures and incidents to come. Stile was poked in the eye, I don't know what, by a quote from Mahatma Gandhi that Christie oddly invoked in his keynote speech at the Republican National Convention in 2012. He then matched the governor's deeds to other words by India's legendary exponent of nonviolence. Our judges thought this was a wry and remarkably informative study in contrast. It's a lot of fun to read. Anyway, print analysis, 2 medallion winners, The Record. Christie's report, Language Tells a Story, by Herb Jackson, John Rietmeyer, and Michael Lindhorst. Once again, another story about a fast-talking, hide-the-ball governor. The Record expertly parsed the 344-page report prepared by Governor Chris Christie's legal team, which surprisingly exonerated him. The Record's analysis delineated many instances in which the Christie report failed to meet accepted standards for writing government investigative reports. What do you pay lawyers for, right? We have a second winner in this category, Newsday, columns by Joy Brown. I'm not sure if Joy's here. But anyway, she did some great columns about life in Long Island and Hempstead County town officials not bearing responsibility for shortcomings in education, etc. I'm sorry she's not here. Anyway, print, community service, the medallion winner, the Daily News, in conjunction with the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism, NY City News Service for Stop the Mold. Come on up here, everybody. Let's get a picture. Where's Greg Smith? Come on, Greg Smith, get up here. You're the old man on this story. Let's go. One of the town's great investigative reporters. He needs to come up here and take full responsibility for this. Okay, yes, Greg Smith, Allegra Abramo, Natalie Abruzzo, Julia Alsop, Frank Green, Gwen Hogan, Ross Keith, Roxanne Scott, Melissa Stumpf, Maria Villasenor, and the New York City News Service. I'm not sure who I should give this to. There we go. Anyway, great job. Thank you very much. I'll tell you about this series. It focused on the problems of the New York City Housing Authority, and it was an incisive look at a major problem, mold, which is really almost endemic in public housing. And this series depicted the heartbreaking, ongoing frustration many tenants suffer. The stories triggered a city investigation into the epic failures at the Housing Authority. Merit Award goes to the Poughkeepsie Journal for Killers in Pain by Mary Beth Pfeiffer. We'll give you that, Marianne, afterward. Print breaking news photography, the medallion winner, The Record, hostage situation, Tariq Zohawi. There you are.
Thank you very much.
His dramatic photo of a SWAT team subduing a mother was quite something. She was threatening to harm her children, and it captured the precise moment when other officers were taking the children to safety. Great picture. Merit Award to the Daily News for EDP Businessman by Marcos Santos. Number 12, feature photography. The medallion winner, the Daily News. Eric Garner protested Barclays Center by Stephanie Keith. Here's Stephanie Keith now.
Thank you. Thank you.
I should be getting everybody to stand up closer to our new banner. You see, this always used to say the players, but we finally got something that identified us as being here. I hope it's not too bright. Anyway, Stephanie's picture was a terrific close-up and depiction of two vastly different faces in the confrontation between police and protesters in Brooklyn following the death of Eric Garner. It's a picture you'll remember. Am I right? This also won at the Deadline Club, according to my colleague, Ms. Ashton. The Merit Award goes to the Daily News for the Ramos Lou Memorial by James Keevam. In print, sports photography or feature photography. The medallion winner of the Daily News, Robert Sabo. All I need to tell you is that this picture is called The Catch. Sabo's, you have to see it to believe it, photograph of New York Giants receiver Odell Beckham making his stunning touchdown catch against the Cowboys. Who's going to take this? Thank you. The Merit Award goes to Newsday for a picture of California Chrome, the great racehorse by J. Conrad Williams. Magazine, Investigative Reporting, the medallion winner, Bloomberg News. Anything But Secure by David Evans, who for a change turned up a bunch of billion-dollar crooks. No, that's what this guy does all the time. Evans uncovered a billion-dollar internet-based scam that preyed on investors around the globe with promises of big returns trading currencies. The investors got robbed, and the U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of New York read the story and opened a criminal investigation. Now that's what you call good investigative reporting. Okay, magazines, feature writing, the medallion winner, Vanity Fair, To Live and Die in America by Nancy Jo Sales. This was an exploration of the murders of 4 young Iranians who had migrated to Williamsburg, Brooklyn. They had hoped to develop an indie rock band they called the Yellow Dogs. The story poignantly captures the decline of one former band member and how his despair shattered the dreams of the others. The Merit Award to Bloomberg Markets, Andy Hall Goes All In by Bradley Olson. Magazines, Public Service, Category 16. The medallion winner is Financial Planning Magazine. Could financial planning help stem the rate of military suicides? By Ann Marsh. Congratulations, Ann. This is a thoroughly researched, in-depth examination of how financial stress has become a major factor in military suicide. The story has led to congressional legislation mandating the military to provide financial advice and counseling to active duty personnel and veterans. Merit Award to Bloomberg Markets, Overworked and Underwhelmed by Dawn Kopecky. Okay, now we move to television investigative reporting. The Medallion Award, News 12 New Jersey, Cane in Your Corner, Students Restrained. This is an investigation about a troubling problem of the abuse, or is it discipline, of special needs children in New Jersey. In the absence of laws governing the conduct of teachers and counselors, children are at risk and their parents are in the dark. Is Walt Kane here?
Somebody from News 12?
Anybody from News 12? Sorry, okay. Merit Award to New York News, NY1 News, Sex Trafficking by Dean Meminger. Television breaking news. The medallion winner, NY1 News, no indictment of the death of Eric Garner. High drama as NY1 broke the news to viewers that there would be no indictment by a grand jury in the chokehold death of Eric Garner on Staten Island. Shannon, where are you? There we go. Would the rest of the award winners come drifting up here? Thank you. You're welcome. Congratulations. Okay, number 19. Willie, where are you? Television feature news, the medallion winner, ESPN, Outside the Lines, Tragic State. John Barr, correspondent, and William Wymum, producer. Okay, I'm going to read the rest of the names. This has a whole squad, of course, being television. Brian Brousseau, Joe LaMonaco, Mark Lustig, directors of photography, Ron Berman, Scott O'Leary, editors, Chris Buckle, deputy editor, Joshua Vorensky, production assistant, Carolyn Hong, coordinating producer, Rania Banks, associated producer, PJ Cordova, Eric Lynch, assignment editors, Dwayne Bray, senior coordinating producer, and Vince Doria, the guy signing the checks, the vice president of news. Let me tell you about the story. It was an examination of the tragic aftermath of the injuries suffered by heavyweight title contender Magomed, I'm going to butcher this name, Abdulsalamov in a Madison Square Garden fight. The story offered deep insight into how the fight establishment works and how imperfectly it functions when it comes to protecting fighters. The Merit Award to New York won for How New York City Works, Food Rescue, Roger Clark, reporter, David Canaviccio, producer and photographer, Jessica Steiner, producer, Dan Komaritz, editor, Letitia Majan, camera operator. Television public service, the medallion winner, who unfortunately couldn't get a babysitter tonight, so she's not here. Pix 11 News, Pregnant and Addicted by Narmeen Chowdhury, correspondent. These were compelling stories about three women drug users who worried about their addiction and their methadone-affected babies. Merit Award to WLIW Metro Focus Special Report, Eric Garner decision. Now in radio breaking news, the medallion winner, 1010 wins. New York police officers fatally shot. Is there anybody from WINS here? Okay, 1010 wins, reporters delivered riveting coverage while two police officers were fatally shot by a gunman sitting in their car in a patrol car in Brooklyn. You all know the story. The Merit Award to WCBS 880 for explosion in Harlem. Number 22, medallion winner ESPN Radio. Outside the Lines in the Sporting Life, Robert's Rules. Kelly Nakwa, correspondent. William Weinbaum, producer. Welcome. Okay.
Feature News, ESPN.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Congratulations. What's your name? Okay, so we have Robert O'Reilly, Justin Stokes, and sound, Jason Starkey, Kelly Rohr, production assistant, Carolyn Hong, Raina Banks, Eric Lynch, Dwayne Bray. This story was a live portrait of Michelle Roberts, the new head of the NBA Players Union. We learned that she is charming, witty, bold, and dedicated to making certain that, in her words, an institution this important and one that is predominantly African American cannot be allowed to fail. The Merit Award to WCBS 880, the Gem Back Vets by Wayne Cabot. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. We're breaking into the 21st century with the online awards. Online breaking news, the medallion winner, the Wall Street Journal, for East Harlem explosion. With digital bulletins, constant tweets, video, and overall mastery of social media, alongside with print coverage, Journal reporters were all over the massive explosion that killed 8, collapsed 2 Park Avenue buildings, and overturned countless lives. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have 2 Merit Awards, one to DNAinfo.com for 4-year-old tortured before death, endured a nomadic life filled with abuse. Murray Weiss, James Finelli, and Janet Fisher. And Newsday.com for Cop Shot. The online investigative reporting web exclusive award, the medallion winner goes to ProPublica. This was a story about how Wall Street tobacco deals left states with billions in toxic debt. Tobacco bond series by Cesare Podkul. Here he is.
Thanks so much.
Building special databases to probe the public records left by the Wall Street bond deals that have been built about scheduled payoffs from the National Tobacco Settlement of 1999. These meticulously researched stories were the first to document that nearly half the money no longer goes to benefit taxpayers. Instead, all this tobacco money is being siphoned off to cover a multi-generational legacy of debt taken on by dozens of governments involved, debt that some may never be able to repay. The story included apps built by Yu Kui and Lena Groger, which allowed readers to track the financial effects of these bad deals county by county in New York State and elsewhere. Another merit award to DNA Info. Mayor's top aide hid relationship with convicted felon by Murray Weiss and James Finelli. Number 25, the Medallion Award, TheStreet.com. I think this is their first Silurians Award, and I'm glad they're here. Unaccountable Bureaucracy and Other Columns by Susan Antilla. Come on up, Susan, where are you? In these searing columns, she had another one in the paper today. Antilla highlights the anti-consumer sentiment that has taken hold of significant portions of the Republican Party. As it attempts to dismantle agencies such as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which Susan says very gently has broken new ground reining in sleazy debt collectors, slipshod mortgage servicers, and banks. In just 2 years, the agency has already handled 270,000 complaints from consumers, and that doesn't count all the ones I've made about cardholder services. The agency has returned almost $3 billion to these people. Susan also critiques the soft on enforcement stance that appears to be the real posture of the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. The Merit Award goes to the record for the story that keeps on giving, the George Washington Bridge Files. Online public service, a double header, Propublica and National Public Radio win the medallion for Red Cross by Jesse Eisinger and Justin Elliott of Propublica, Lauren Sullivan of NPR. Now, I know it would shock some of you to discover that this story did not say everything great about the Red Cross. The diligence of this reporting team paid off as it refused to accept the original opaque explanations from the Red Cross about how the relief organization spent hundreds of millions of dollars during its responses to Sandy and Hurricane Isaac. As ProPublica NPR concluded, the Red Cross botched key elements of its mission after Sandy and Isaac, leaving behind a trail of unmet needs and acrimony. They really traced it right down to the wire. Good to ProPublica and NPR. A merit award to Newsday News 12, another collaborative venture. Cash crop marijuana on Long Island and across the United States. Mandy Hochmull, Thomas Mayer, Seba Ali, Matthew Caselli, Timothy Healy, and the Newsday.com and Newsday staffs. Now it's time for me to ask you to be a little more quiet because we're going to have our two feature awards now. The first of the two awards where you're going to actually hear from somebody is for a promising young journalist. And so I will pose a simple question. What do you get when you, from the Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York, when you combine a public policy wonk with a savvy street reporter? Well, the answer is right here. Cole Rosengrund, this year's winner of the Dennis Duggan Award. Now, the folks at CUNY tell me, they say in what was a very spirited and close competition, Cole prevailed with it. Come on over here. I'm not going to bite you. At least not yet. Cole prevailed with a terrific array of stories, many from the South Bronx, about the lives of ordinary New Yorkers. As one of his first semester professors said, he is smart, analytical, and passionate about bringing professional journalism to the poorest areas in New York City. He has had stories published in the Hunt Points Express, Gotham Gazette, and after graduating from Emerson College, he founded RealCityOnline.com, a website that chronicled life in cities across the country. In his 3-year run, that site published more than 800 articles. Most recently, Cole put together a 5-part series for City Limits on the future of the New York sanitation system, a subject we should all care about. Dean Sarah Bartlett and NYU writing coach Deborah Stade are here to help us honor Cole tonight. And here we go. Let me read this plaque. Society of the Silurians, Dennis Duggan Memorial. To Cole Rosengren, Graduate School of Journalism, City University of New York, whose drive, constant curiosity, and commitment to report on the lives of ordinary New Yorkers reflect the spirits of Dennis Duggan. May 19th, 2015, the Players, New York City. Congratulations. You don't get away without saying anything. Come on.
Just want to thank the Silurians very much for this great honor. Congratulations to everybody tonight. Wonderful company to be in. This is such a surprise, but a very welcome one. Thank you mostly to my wife, Katie, who's here tonight, who's supported and encouraged me throughout all of this. Also to the whole CUNY J School family, Dean Sarah Bartlett, Professor Dim Harper. This has been quite the year since I started about this time a year ago, found out I'd been accepted, started getting ready for school. And I got to say, this is one of the best jobs I've ever had, being a reporter. Since moving here about 6 years ago, I've had a lot of jobs. Been a delivery biker, been a restaurant manager, mover, waiter, but I enjoy reporting the most. Who thought, right? Yeah. Get to meet new people every day, learn new things, and it's never a dull moment. So thank you again so much, and much appreciated.
Now, I don't want you to leave the room without me telling you what I should have told you an hour and a half ago when I met you. Work the room. Somebody here might be able to give you a job.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, now we think, Cole, you're going to have a great long career. And now it's time for the Peter Keese Award, which is named for a legendary man many of you knew, who was known for his selfless help to others. David Gonzales. David, will you please come up? Now, David Gonzales is a wonderful story. Now, to steal a line from the terrific profile of him by Ralph Blumenthal that I hope you all read here in the Silurian News, Gonzales says he grew up in the Rodney Dangerfield of boroughs, the Bronx. His parents had migrated from Puerto Rico, and he was the last of their 3 children. After Cardinal Hayes High School, Gonzales earned a degree in psychology, which he says was worthless, at Yale before, he can tell us about that in a minute, before going to work for the Puerto Rican Forum in Harlem. At the time, he was nurturing his interest in photography at a Bronx collective called Enfoco. He encountered Thomas A. Johnson, the first black reporter for the New York Times, who later founded the Harlem Third World Trade Institute and invited David to join him. After 2 years there, and I hope I'm getting all these facts right, Gonzales, at Johnson's urging, applied to Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism, where he won a fellowship. Then, with the help of one of his professors, Penn Kimball, he got a job as a researcher at Newsweek and reported for them from Detroit and from Miami before returning to New York as deputy bureau chief, where he said he had a lot of lunches. In 1990, he learned that the New York Times was recruiting Hispanic journalists. He was working at a convention for Hispanic journalists in San Francisco, I think, right? And soon you were meeting a longtime Silurian, Al Siegel, a legendary assistant managing editor of the New York Times, about whom I will let David tell you more. Anyway, David had a column, and after 4 years on his column, Times sent him to Miami, where as a Caribbean correspondent, he spent another 4 years covering Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, El Salvador, Guatemala. By then, he was married to his lovely wife, fellow journalist Elena Cabral, who's right here, Elena. And at the Times, David's done it all. I'll just summarize it. He's been a beat reporter in the Bronx, covered religion, worked as a city columnist, a foreign correspondent, a bureau chief, a photography columnist, and he is now the co-editor of the photo blog called Times Lens. All the while, David Gonzales has been a willing helper to those around him. He's always game to guide younger reporters and photographers through the tricky unknown. In that spirit of Peter Keese, we honor him now. Here we go. David Gonzalez of the New York Times in recognition of your outstanding contributions as a reporter, columnist, bureau chief, photographer, editor, and generous sharer of knowledge with younger journalists in the tradition of Peter Keyes. May 19, 2015, The Players, New York. And here's the box. Okay, I'll hold it. Or you can hold it. And now it's time for David to talk.
Thank you. I'm a little intimidated, so I wrote things down. Years ago, before I got into journalism, I went to an organization of Latinos in media, and I asked them for their advice. They told me, don't get into the business. I'm glad I ignored them. Very glad I ignored them. I want to thank the Silurians for having selected me for this honor. I'm humbled to be among this select group of journalists. Some of them have been friends and colleagues, others have been role models, some I just admired from afar reading their copy, but all of whom exemplify the heart of New York City journalism. Now, I got to be honest here. I never planned on working at the New York Times. If I'd had my way, I would have been at the Daily News, which this was the paper of choice in the Gonzales household on Beck Street. I learned to read it as a child. I was like 4 when I learned how to read the Daily News. My uncles would say, "What's the number today?" So I'd go to the back of the sports pages for the pari-mutuel handle and see if we hit the number. We didn't. But from there, to see if we could improve our luck the next day, they'd ask me to see what Ching Chow said. This was in the un-PC days, for hints as to what number my uncles had to dream up to play the next day. Well, sooner or later, I made my way to the front of the paper. And as I got older, I began to appreciate it for its way of telling New York stories in a New York voice with New York pictures. I remember that old big center spread in the middle. Now, I never did get to work at the news because at the time I graduated from J School, the only editor I knew there didn't return my calls because he was too busy getting loans from Fred Richman. It's true. So I went off to Newsweek, where I had great adventures, but after 7 years, I was freaking homesick. I mean, I was watching every single movie filmed in New York just to catch glimpses of streets where I misspent my youth. And what happened? The Times was looking to beef up its local coverage thanks to the beating it was getting at the hands of New York Newsday, a noble competitor. Angel Franco, who was one of my closest friends from my ill-spent youth as a photographer, suggested to his editors that the paper may want to hire me. So I was invited over. Everybody had advice, but the one advice that stuck in my mind was watch out for Al Siegel. If anybody's going to sink you, it's going to be Al. So there I am with a brand new suit. I don't wear suits normally. Tie, haircut, and I'm sitting in Al's office, and he's sitting there in silence reading my resume. He looks up and he asks the question that would change my life. Let's cut the crap. Where'd you grow up in the Bronx? He's from Allerton. I was from Beck Street. We spent the next 20 minutes talking about the Bronx. We can talk about journalism. He later told me that after that encounter, he went off and told the mass that they had to hire me. So I'm indebted to Al, seriously, jokes aside, to Carolyn Lee, and especially to Max Frankel for taking a chance on me. See, I'd never worked a single day at a newspaper before I showed up on 43rd Street. I had read this book by Maya Berger when I was homesick, and I said, I could do that. Never worked at a newspaper. I said, I could do the About New York column, why not? And 5 years later, I got it. And so, dreams came true. Thanks to John Darton, Gerald Boyd, Mike Oreskes, who all let me follow my nose and write about the things that normally didn't make it into the pages of the New York Times. I wanted to reflect the Bronx that I knew, trying to get beyond the reputation, provide a nuanced take on the people and places and neighborhoods. And in more recent years, you have people like Joe Sexton, Wendell Jameson, who allowed me to continue doing this kind of stuff. And now in this weird hybrid life that I have, Michelle McNally, our director of photography, that has asked me to help out editing this blog on photography. The Times is a wonderful place. It lets you readjust and reinvent yourself. When I first joined the paper, more than a few people asked me what I planned to do on foreign. When did I plan to go foreign? I had no idea, because all I ever wanted to do was be a Metro reporter, to be honest. And the 25 years that I've been there, Metro has been my home for pretty much most of the time, and I'm proud of that. Metro reporting to me and to my colleagues on Metro, I think, is a noble calling, giving the readers closest to us a sense of where we are, where we might be headed, and maybe where we should go. And face it, you can find the world in New York. You got Cambodians in University Heights, got Ifunas in Mott Haven, you got Mixtecas out in Sunset Park. I mean, the world is here. You don't have to go overseas. I mean, you could, but I like to go home at night. everything changes, but it all stays the same. We still attract people looking to start over, to live in freedom, to get ahead, to help those back home. It's a familiar story, it just has new faces, new languages. But it's familiar. Years ago, when I first met Murray Schumacher, he had seen some of my work from the Bronx, and it lifted me when this guy knew who the hell I was, some pipsqueak, right? And he said to me, "Do you speak Spanish?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Good." Then he started telling me about when he covered the Bronx in the 40s. He used to use Yiddish. And one day he was talking to somebody, and he saw the Daily News reporter coming up. So he switches to Yiddish and says, "Don't talk to that guy. He works for the anti-Semitic newspaper." Listen, I owe a debt to the old-timers in this business. They put up with me when I thought I knew everything, and luckily I shut up sometimes and listened to them. They taught me the rituals of this ink-stained tribe, and I've been lucky to have worked with folks like Bill Sorrow. He told me these wonderful stories about Jock Whitney back in the day, Betsy Wade, John Kiffner, and others who just showed me the ropes when I didn't know I needed showing. And I'm glad they did. I hope I've been able to do the same for some of those who followed me. Listen, I've been lucky in this business. I worked hard, but luck's a lot of it too. I found a niche and I've tried to make it my own. I've worked on big stories, but the ones that stick with me the most are the little ones, the ones that you find in corners of the city that nobody really bothers to go to or listen to. Now, my story, whatever recognition I have, is due to hard work, luck, and the support of others. I owe a lot to my parents who came here from Puerto Rico with nothing and helped us achieve something. I'm grateful to those of you who've been by my side and by my family's side during the last 5 years of sometimes surreal medical adventures. I appreciate that. And above all, I'm grateful for the love and support of my wife, Elena, who for the last 20 years has been my companion, my love, and my guide star. She's juggled career and family while putting up with the demands, sometimes unfair demands, of the New York Times. More importantly, she's been by my side these last few years as I face some pretty serious and unnerving situations. Literally, I would not be here without her. Now listen, to the Silurians again, thank you for this honor. I guess now I'm officially an old fart. It's okay, it beats the alternative. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to take this home. I think it's self-evident why he's our winner. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming, helping make this a record evening. We don't forget the Merit Awards. Everybody's going to come up here and collect your Merit Awards. I wanted to thank Brian Jones and the rest of the players' staff once again, Raymond up in the booth, and remind you about membership applications and our lunch June 18th with Mimi Sheridan. And finally, if you all would like to explore the players a little more, they've been nice enough to invite us to use our credit cards in the bar downstairs if you want to keep drinking. And it's a really great little bar if you haven't been there. I highly recommend it. It's even conceivable I might be found there later on myself. Anyway, thank you all, and see you next month. Congratulations, everybody. Come on up here and get these awards.